Today we're crocheting a bobble stitch bag. Most of my bag designs are more rectangular, but this one is rounded along the bottom and also a little slouchier. So I love the shape of this bag and I hope you guys do too. For the free written pattern, you can find it at vivcrochets.com or at the link in the description box below. And if you do enjoy this tutorial, please leave a like or comment to let me know. Thanks so much, and let's get into the materials. For this project, I used just under 250 grams of yarn, and I used Big Twist Favorite Cotton in the color Wild Mushroom, and this is a number 4 or medium weight 100% cotton yarn. And for bags, you want to try to use cotton yarn so it's less stretchy. And I'll also be using a 5.5mm hook, some scissors, a yarn needle, and a stitch marker. And if you don't have a stitch marker, you can use a bobby pin or safety pin instead. Before we jump into the tutorial, let's talk about my new favorite spot to crochet. This is the Swivel Rocker Lotus Recliner by FlexiSpot, the sponsor of today's video. They have many different options to customize the recliner, and I chose the manual recliner in the beige fabric. I love this color and its versatility in any room. The seat is about 21 inches wide and the armrests are about 10 inches wide, and they have generous padding to make it as comfortable as possible. It gives you so much space. I can sit comfortably with my dog and have my yarn and phone on the armrests, and all different sitting positions are so comfortable. You can sit upright, sideways, or with your legs crossed. It's perfect for relaxing while watching TV, reading, or crocheting. Plus, my dog seems to really love it. I love that it has the ability to swivel 360 degrees so I can face any direction I want. And it can also rock back and forth to help relieve stress at the end of the day. It can also recline to extend your legs and make it the perfect spot to take a short nap. Here's my dog Duck falling asleep on the chair immediately after I put it together, which only took about 20 minutes. This chair comes with a variety of additional features like this hidden storage space you can use for your current crochet project. And if you choose an electric recliner, you can add a wireless charging phone holder and charging ports on the side of the chair. You can check out this recliner by clicking the link below. Use my exclusive code LOTUS30 to get $30 off and free shipping. Thank you to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to the tutorial. First, we're going to start with a slip knot, and to make a slip knot, place the yarn over your hand with the tail end at the bottom. Then grab the yarn with your thumb and make sure you have at least 4 inches under your thumb. Grab the top, wrap it around 2 fingers to form an X, and then you can hold it with your pinky. Then take your hook and go under one side of the X, and then over and grab the other side and pull it through. Then remove your fingers and tighten the knot. And now we're going to start chaining. And to chain, yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. Again, yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. So there are our first 2 chains, and we're going to continue chaining until we have a total of 19 chains. And once we have our 19 chains, we can start on our first round. And we're going to work into the second chain from the hook, and each chain looks like a sideways V. So this is the first chain from the hook, and this one is the second one. And in this chain, we're going to do 6 single crochets. So insert your hook into this chain, so go through the V and just under the top loop. And then to do a single crochet, yarn over and pull through, and you should have 2 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So there is our first single crochet. Now we're going to do another single crochet into the same chain. So go back into this space, yarn over, pull through, then yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on your hook. So now we have 2 single crochets into this chain, and we're going to keep going until we have 5 single crochets. And I did say earlier that we have to do 6 single crochets into this chain, but I am going to do my 6th single crochet into this space here instead of this one because you can see the hole is getting pretty big. So if you don't want this hole in the base of your bag, then try to go into a loop underneath that hole. So in between our first and second single crochet into this chain, there's a little space, and we're going to insert a hook into that space and do our 6th single crochet. And that should close up this hole. And now we have a total of 6 single crochets into the second chain from the hook. And then we're going to move on to the next chain. So that's this one right here. And in this next chain, we're just going to do 1 single crochet. So go into this next chain and do a single crochet. And then we're going to move on to the next chain, and we'll also do just 1 single crochet. And we're going to keep going and do just 1 single crochet into each chain, but we're going to stop before the very last chain. So once we've gone across the chain and there's just 1 chain left, in this last chain, we're also going to do 6 single crochets. So we'll do our first single crochet into this final chain. And we're also going to make sure that we mark this single crochet. So we're going to take our stitch marker and just loop it into those 2 loops at the top of the single crochet. Like that. And then we're going to continue adding in our single crochets, but we are going to do the 6th one the same way we did the 6th one for the very start. So once we have 5 single crochets into this chain, you can count the first one with a stitch marker and then 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, we're going to be placing our 6th single crochet in between the first and second single crochet that we put into this chain. So doing that closes that hole. And now putting that many stitches sort of forces your chain to rotate. So at first we were working this way, and now we've rotated, and we're going to continue working along the underside of that foundation chain that we did in the very beginning. So we're working into the same spaces, just on the opposite side. So if you look closely, you can see the chain spaces. So there's one, here's another one, and here's another one, and it goes across like that. So now we just need to look for the first chain space we'll work into, and it's this one right here. So go into this space and do a single crochet. And then this is the next space. We'll go into this space and do a single crochet. And into every single chain space, we're going to do 1 single crochet. So once you reach back to the beginning of the round where we did our very first single crochet, you should have a total of 44 single crochets in this round. And at the end of every single round, we're going to do a slip stitch to connect the last stitch with the very first stitch of the round. So look for the very first stitch that we did, which is this one here. You can see the V at the top. We're going to go under that V and yarn over, pull through the loop on our hook, and then tighten the slip stitch. And here is our very first round. Now we're going to do round 2, and every round after a single crochet round is going to be a bobble stitch round. So first we're going to chain 2, and we're going to do a double crochet into the first stitch. And the first stitch of every round is going to be that same stitch that we slip stitched to. So this space right below the chain 2 that we just did. We're going to do a double crochet, and to do a double crochet, we're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that space, yarn over, pull through, and you should have a total of 3 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. Then we're going to move on to the next stitch, which is this next V right here. And in the stitch, we're going to do a bobble stitch. And there are a lot of different ways you can do a bobble stitch, but for this pattern, we're going to do a treble crochet 3 together. So to do a treble crochet 3 together, we're basically going to start 3 treble crochets, and then we're going to finish them all at the end. And if you don't know how to do a treble crochet, you yarn over 2 times. So 1, and then 2, and then you go into the next stitch. So under that V, yarn over, pull through, and you should have 4 loops on your hook. Then you yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's a finished treble crochet, but since we're not finishing it, we're actually not going to pull through those last 2 loops. And that's what I mean by not fully completing it until the end. So let's start that over and do a treble crochet 3 together. So first we're going to yarn over 2 times, then insert your hook into that next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then we're going to pause and start a new treble crochet. So again, we're going to yarn over 2 times, insert our hook back into that same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And again, we're going to pause there and start another treble crochet. So we'll yarn over 2 times, insert our hook back into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And now you can see we have 3 of these posts going into this one stitch. So between my thumbs, we have these 3 posts in that one stitch, and we also have a total of 4 loops on our hook, and that's how you know we're done adding treble crochets. So once you have these 4 loops, we're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. And that is our bobble stitch. This round is going to alternate between the double crochet and the bobble stitch. So our next stitch, we're going to do a double crochet. So we just worked into this stitch and we're going to move on to this one and we'll do a double crochet. So again, we yarn over, insert your hook into that next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And again, we're alternating between the double crochet and the bobble stitch, so the next stitch will be a bobble stitch. So let's go over it again. First we're going to yarn over 2 times, insert our hook into that next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then pause and start that again. Yarn over 2 times, insert our hook into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we have 2 posts and we need 1 more. So again, we're going to yarn over 2 times, insert our hook into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now we should have 3 posts going into that one stitch and 4 loops on our hook. And then we can yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. And there is our bobble stitch. And in the next stitch, we'll do a double crochet. And after the double crochet, our next stitch will be a bobble stitch. And then the next will be a double crochet. And we're just going to continue working and doing a bobble stitch, then a double crochet, then a bobble stitch, then a double crochet. And when we do reach the stitch marker, we're going to move that up to the new round. And I'll show you how to do that once we get there. So I've just gone and reached the stitch marker. And when we do reach the stitch marker, we're going to take it out. And we're going to do our next stitch, which should be a double crochet, but I made a mistake somewhere and I'm putting in a bobble stitch instead, but yours should be a double crochet. And then we're going to put the stitch marker back into the V at the top of that stitch. And then we can continue working as normal. So when we do the bobble stitch rounds, you don't have to worry about doing anything with the stitch marker. It's just for the single crochet rounds. So all you have to do in the bobble stitch round is move it up. So we're just going to continue working and doing the double crochet and the bobble stitch all the way around. And since we started this round with a double crochet, we should always end the round with a bobble stitch. And also make sure that you don't work into the slip stitch that we did last round. So here is the final stitch of the round, and then this one sort of looks like a stitch, but it's the slip stitch and we don't count it as a stitch. So make sure that you don't work into it. And after our final bobble stitch, we're going to slip stitch to finish the round. So we're going to look for that first double crochet that we made. And you can see the chain 2 that we did, and then this is the first double crochet. And at the top, we're going to go under that V and slip stitch. So we're going to yarn over, pull through the loop on our hook, and tighten it. And here is round 2. So the other side looks like this, and this will eventually be the outside of the bag. You should have a total of 22 bobble stitches in this round. So now we can do round 3, and after every bobble stitch round, we're doing a single crochet round. So we're going to start by chaining 1. And we're going to start this round by doing an increase 6 times. And an increase means putting 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So again, we're going to work into the first stitch, which is the one we just slip stitched to. This one right here. We're going to insert a hook and do our first single crochet. And then we're going to go back in and do a second single crochet into that stitch. Then we can move on to the next stitch, and we're also going to do 2 single crochets into this single stitch. And in the next stitch, we'll also do 2 single crochets and in the next, so this one is the 4th one that we've done 2 single crochets. And then the 5th, and the 6th. Again, we've just gone around this curve and done an increase 6 times. And for the flat side, we're just doing 1 single crochet into every single stitch. So in that next stitch, we'll do 1 single crochet, and then 1 single crochet into the next. And we'll keep going until we reach our stitch marker. So once we reach the stitch marker, that means that now we're going to start doing the same thing we did at this curve. So from here, the next 6 stitches will have 2 single crochets each. But also remember, we have to move the stitch marker up. So we're going to take the stitch marker out and do our first single crochet into the stitch, and then put the stitch marker back in. And then we're going to do our second single crochet into the same stitch. So there's 2 into that stitch we had the stitch marker in, but the one on the right has the stitch marker. And then we're going to continue doing our increases around this curve for a total of 6 times. And we can start working just 1 single crochet into each stitch along the flat side. And once we do our final single crochet, we're going to slip stitch to the first single crochet of this round. So go into that stitch, yarn over, pull through the loop on our hook, and tighten it. And here is round 3. And like I said earlier, the round after a single crochet round is going to be a bobble stitch round. So again, to start every bobble stitch round, we're going to chain 2 and do a double crochet into the first stitch, then a bobble stitch into the next, then a double crochet in the next, and a bobble stitch into the next. And remember, for this round, once you reach the stitch marker, just make sure to move your stitch marker up to the stitch that you put into there. And then we'll meet back up at the end of this round. Again, you should always end the bobble stitch round with a bobble stitch and then a slip stitch for the end of every single round. And here is round 4. Now the next round is a single crochet round, so we're going to chain 1. So we're going to do the same thing we did for round 3, where we increased around the curves, but for this round we're going to increase in every second stitch, and we're going to do that 6 times. So round 3, we increased every stitch 6 times. For this one, we're going to increase every second stitch 6 times. So that means that the very first stitch is going to just have 1 single crochet. And then the second stitch is going to have 2 single crochets. And this pattern, we're going to repeat it 6 times. So the next one will have 1 single crochet, and the next will have 2 single crochets. So that's the second repeat. And let's repeat it again. 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochets. And that's our third repeat. So we repeat that 6 total times. And after doing it 6 times, you should end up around here. And if you're not sure if you did it enough times, you can just count how many stitches you did and increase. And it should be 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And after you've repeated that pattern 6 times, we should be along the flat edge, and we're just going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch until we reach that stitch marker. And once we reach that stitch marker, we're going to repeat the pattern we did here, where we do an increase into every second stitch 6 times. So first we'll take out the stitch marker and do 1 single crochet into that stitch and put our stitch marker back in. And then in the next stitch, we'll do 2 single crochets. And we're going to repeat this for a total of 6 times. And here I've just done that repeat 6 times. And now we can just do 1 single crochet into each stitch until we reach the end of the round. And here is round 5. And round 6 is going to be a bobble stitch round where we chain 2 and do a double crochet in the first stitch, then a bobble, then a double crochet, then a bobble. And we repeat that all the way around, and make sure you move the stitch marker up. And then round 7 is going to be a single crochet round where we chain 1, and for round 7 we're going to do an increase into every 3rd stitch 6 times. So it's just like with this round where we increase every 2nd stitch 6 times, but we're going to increase in every 3rd stitch 6 times for round 7. And once we do that 6 times, we just do 1 single crochet into each stitch until we reach the stitch marker. And once we reach the stitch marker, we're going to repeat that, increasing in every 3rd stitch 6 times. And then we're going to do 1 single crochet into each stitch until we reach the end of the round where we'll slip stitch. Then of course the round after that is going to be a bobble stitch round, and hopefully you notice the pattern. Every new single crochet round will add 1 single crochet before the increase. So once your base is large enough, you can stop doing the increases for the single crochets. So I've just finished round 8 and I'm going to stop increasing in my single crochet rounds. So for round 9, I'm not going to do any increases. Every single stitch is going to have only 1 single crochet. So my bag will end up being this big, and then we'll just add on to the height of the bag. So it'll still go out a little bit more, but then it'll start going just straight up. And since we're not increasing anymore, we don't need the stitch marker, so we can just remove that and just do 1 single crochet into each stitch around. And then the bobble stitch round after that is going to be the same. And then it'll be just a regular single crochet round and then a bobble stitch round. And you just keep going until you get the height of the bag that you want. And make sure you stop after a round of single crochets. So here I've done 10 rounds of the popcorn stitch, and I've just done the single crochet round after that for a total of 21 rounds. And I'm happy with the height of my bag, which is about 22 centimeters. And again, you can do more rounds if you want a taller bag, or you can do fewer rounds for a shorter bag. And once you're ready to start on the straps, we can fasten off. So to fasten off, right after our slip stitch, we're going to cut our yarn about this long and then pull through with our hook. And then we're going to start on the straps. And for the straps, we're going to make little triangles like this and like this too. So we're going to work 2 separate pieces. So first we're going to make sure that we have the bag folded along the bottom and flattened. And since we have 40 popcorn stitches in each round, you're going to want to make sure that you have 20 on the top and 20 on the bottom before you start counting from the sides. So here I have 20 in the top layer, and I'm going to mark where I want the straps to start. We have the edge right here, and I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 popcorn stitches. And then to the right of that 6th popcorn stitch, we have a double crochet, and we're going to look at the top of that double crochet and look for that single crochet right above it, which is this one right here. And this is the space we're going to start working into. So again, this is our double crochet. This is the single crochet right above it. And we're going to mark this single crochet stitch. So we have our 6 popcorn stitches and then the double crochet just outside it marked. Now I'm going to flip it and make sure to keep the edge folded. And on this side, I'm also going to count 6 popcorn stitches from the edge. So that's this one is the 6th, and just outside it to the left, we're going to look at that double crochet. And then look at the single crochet just above it, and we're going to mark that stitch. So now we have this left strap marked. It's going to start from here and we're going to work back and forth in rows just over these stitches. And you can also mark on the right side. So again, I'm going to make sure that it's folded perfectly in half again with 20 popcorn stitches on the top layer, 20 on the back. And once you've made sure you found the edge, we're going to count out 6 popcorn stitches and insert a stitch marker into that single crochet above that double crochet on the edge. And then flip it over. And we'll also count out 6 popcorn stitches and mark the single crochet above the outside double crochet. So now we have our 4 stitches marked and we can start on our first strap. With it folded in half, we're going to open it and we're going to start by attaching our yarn to this back left stitch marker. And to attach our yarn, we're going to make a slip knot. So again, to make a slip knot, we're going to place the yarn in our hand with the tail end at the bottom. Grab the yarn with your thumb, then grab the top and wrap it around 2 fingers to form an X. And then we're going to take our hook and go under one side of the X, and then over, grab that other side and pull it through. Then remove your fingers and tighten the knot. But make sure you don't tighten the slip knot around your hook. We're going to take it off of our hook and you can hold on to it with your finger. So like that. And then we're going to go over to our bag and to that back left stitch. And from the inside of the bag, we're going to insert a hook into that stitch to the outside. So here's the stitch with our stitch marker. Insert your hook through that stitch and we can take our stitch marker out. And then we're going to place this loop back onto our hook and then tighten it. And we're going to pull this loop through the stitch just until the loop comes through. And our yarn is attached and we can start on our first row of the strap. And to start this row, we're going to chain 2. And in this same stitch, we're going to do a double crochet. So yarn over, go back into that stitch we attached our yarn to, and do a double crochet. And then we're going to move on to the next stitch, this one here, and we're going to do a popcorn stitch. And then we're going to alternate between the double crochet in the next stitch and the popcorn stitch in the next stitch. And the reason we attach our yarn from the inside is so that the popcorn stitch pops out towards the back, so towards the outside of the bag, so they're all facing the same way. And we're going to continue alternating between the popcorn stitch and the double crochet all the way around the curve of this bag until we reach that next stitch marker. And the very last stitch, that next stitch marker is going to end up being a double crochet. So let's take out our stitch marker and do the double crochet. And here is the first row of our strap. Goes around that curve of the bag that's folded like this. And you should have a total of 12 popcorn stitches. And like I said earlier, from now on we're going to be working in rows. So we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to turn. So now we're going to be facing the outside of the bag. And we're going to work across that first row that we just did. And for this row, it's going to be a single crochet row, but we're going to do a decrease on either end of the row. So we're going to do a single crochet 3 together at the start of the row and at the end of the row. So to do a single crochet 3 together, we're going to insert our hook into the first stitch. So that's this one right here. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, then insert your hook into the next stitch, which is this one. Yarn over, pull through, and insert your hook into the third stitch. Yarn over, pull through, and you should have 4 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. So let me go over that a second time. After we chain 1 and turn, we're going to do a single crochet 3 together. So that's through the first 3 stitches. So insert your hook into the first stitch, yarn over, pull through, insert your hook into the second stitch, yarn over, pull through, insert your hook into the third stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 4 loops on your hook. And that's a single crochet 3 together. And I'll also show you again how to do that with the last 3 stitches. But for the middle of the strap, we're going to be doing 1 single crochet into each stitch. And we're going to keep going across, doing 1 into each stitch until we have 3 stitches left. So now I'm at the end of the row, and you should have 3 stitches left. You can look at it from the top, and you'll see these 3 V's. And you should also just know that you stop on the second to last double crochet. And once you have these 3 stitches left, we're going to do another single crochet 3 together. So insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, insert your hook into the final stitch, yarn over, pull through, and you should have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4 loops. And there is the second row. Now the next row is going to be a popcorn stitch row. So we're going to start this by chaining 2. And then we'll turn. And now we're working from the inside of the bag again. And the very first stitch, this one right here, is going to be a double crochet. Then a popcorn stitch in the next stitch. And we're just going to alternate the double crochet and the popcorn stitch across this row. And the very last stitch of the row will be a double crochet. And here is our third row of the strap complete. And this is what it looks like on the other side. You can see it starts to taper in. So our strap is getting smaller. And here it is from the side. If we fold it in half, it looks like that. Next row is going to be a single crochet row. So that means we're going to start with a chain 1 and then turn. And then we'll do a single crochet 3 together in the first 3 stitches. And single crochet across until we have 3 stitches left. And in those last 3 stitches, we're going to do a single crochet 3 together. And there is row 4. The next row will be a popcorn stitch row where we start with a chain 2 and turn and just alternate between the double crochet and the popcorn stitch. And we're just going to continue repeating these 2 rows until we get to the width of the strap that we want. So let's look at it right now. You can see it's getting smaller and smaller. So we'll stop decreasing once we get that width that we want. So here is my strap, and I did 9 total rows. I stopped after I had 4 popcorn stitches. And this is how wide my strap is going to be. But again, you can keep going to make it 2 popcorn stitches wide instead. But once you have the width of the strap that you want, the next single crochet row is not going to have any decreases. So we're just going to chain 1, turn, and we're only going to do 1 single crochet into every single stitch. So we're not doing the single crochet 3 together anymore. Like that. And then for the next row, we'll chain 2, turn, and just repeat the popcorn stitch row. And the number of popcorn stitches that you have should still be 4 because we didn't do the decreases. So we're just maintaining that stitch count. So instead of going like this and decreasing, it's just going to go straight up like that. And we'll build up the length of the strap. And we're just going to alternate just a row of single crochets and then the row of popcorn stitches. And we're going to keep adding those rows until we get to half the length of the strap that we want. We're going to make 2 identical pieces and they're going to meet up at the middle. So the rows with popcorn stitches and the ones with the 4 popcorn stitches, I kept adding them until I had 10 rows. So now I have a total of 27 rows including the single crochet rows. And make sure you stop after a popcorn stitch row. And we can fasten off by chaining 1, and then we're going to cut our yarn twice the width of the strap. So pull the yarn over and match up the width of the strap, and then we're going to go back to make it 2 times the width. So now it's twice the width, and then we're also going to add about 4 inches for the loose end. We'll cut our yarn, pull through with our hook, and tighten the knot. And now our first strap is done, and now we can do the second strap. And again, we're going to attach the yarn from the inside. So here are our 2 stitch markers. We're going to attach it from the inside into this stitch. So make your slip knot. And then don't tighten it all the way. Take the loop off your hook and then insert your hook into the stitch marker on the right. And then take the stitch marker out. Place the loop back on your hook and tighten it. And then pull this loop through the stitch. Chain 2. And do a double crochet into the same stitch we attached the yarn to. And then we can just start doing this row like normal, alternating between the popcorn stitch and the double crochet. And again, this will go until this stitch marker, and in this final stitch will be a double crochet. And we're just going to repeat that first strap. So again, the strap starts right here. We attach our yarn and we do a row of the popcorn stitch and then a row of single crochets with single crochet 3 together on either end, and then the popcorn stitch, and then we repeat that single crochet row with the decreases, and we keep repeating those 2 rows until we have 4 popcorn stitches left. And after that, we stop doing the single crochet 3 together. We just do 1 single crochet into each stitch, and we keep alternating between the popcorn stitch and the regular single crochet rows until we have a total of 10 of these. So this one is the first row of popcorn stitches with 4. This is the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th. And the only difference is that the loose end for the second strap doesn't need to be extra long, it can just be about 4 inches. So once we have our 2 straps done, we can attach them at the top. So we'll grab our yarn needle, and we're going to take the extra long loose end that we left on our first strap, and we're going to thread it into our yarn needle. And then with the outside of the strap facing up, we're going to place them together like this, and then we should have our loose end on the right side. For each of the stitches in the last rows of both straps, we're going to connect them with a whip stitch. So first, with our yarn down here, we're going to go across to this strap, and we're going to look for the first stitch all the way on the right side. You can see this V all the way here. That one is the first stitch. We're going to go down under that V, and then we're going to go under this strap closer to us and under that stitch all the way on the right and up. So we're going under both V's, and then we're going to pull the yarn through until it's taut. Then we'll move on to the next stitch. Again, over to the opposite strap, down under that next stitch, and then under the closer strap, and up under that next stitch. Pull the yarn through and tighten it. And we're going to continue across, going into each stitch on both sides and connecting them. And make sure that you don't pull your yarn too tight or this seam will scrunch up. You want the yarn to just be pulled taut. And once you've gone all the way across and connected each stitch together, we can pull our yarn needle out and take this loose end and tie it together with this other loose end here. And then make sure you double knot it too. And there is the seam where we join the straps together. Now the very last thing to do is to weave in our loose ends. So let's just take one of the loose ends that we just made. Let's take this one here, and we're going to thread it into our yarn needle. And I'm going to flip the strap over so I'm working on the underside like this. And then you see my loose end is coming out of here. So I'm going to go towards the left under these loops. So just any loops, and I'm just going to hide my loose end under these loops in these stitches. And then I'll pull my yarn through just until it's taut. And then we can also go up or down, doesn't really matter. So let's go up and under some more loops. Pull the yarn through. And we still have a little bit more left in our loose end to hide. So I'm going to go back towards the right side under these loops. So you want to constantly change the direction in which you're hiding your loose end so it's harder for it to pull loose and then just pop out. once you've hidden most of your loose end, we can just trim off the excess. And our loose end is hidden. And we're going to do that same thing for the rest of our loose ends to hide them. And your bobble stitch bag is finished. And that's all for this video. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. And shout out to channel members Amarachi, Alma, Dylan, Mai, Kayla, Taylor, Casey, Allison, Eilish, Nadine, Joy, and Stacy. You can become a member of this channel and have these little yarn ball badges next to your name whenever you comment, and other perks such as member shoutouts, early access to new videos, discount codes from my Etsy, help with any of my patterns, and connecting on social media. Thank you again to all my channel members, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.